All right, sophomores, how you doing? This is Mr. Paquette, and I'm making this video specifically for you guys. This is the start of week 2, or the start of our first official long week. Um, and I felt like the first week didn't go too bad. Um, I think I'm looking at my notes here. You might follow along. Um, Recap. All right. We do just have one meeting per week, one live scheduled meeting there, and a lot of you showed up, so thank you for that. But some of you, I was seeing comments thinking that we were meeting every day for a live session. We're not doing that. So some of you I still haven't met with. Period 2, I met with. That was on Wednesday at 9:25. And period 6, haven't met with you guys yet, but we meet on Tuesdays at 9:35. So okay, I'm gonna go through this quickly, you guys. um, this past week we had the membeam minutes that were due last Sunday night, but we took a quiz this past Thursday. Hopefully you took it. That was one of your assignments. I wanted you to read and annotate chapters 1 through 3 this past week. And hopefully you submitted your paper. So that was due on Sunday night by midnight. So good job if you did it. This is the Big Macbeth paper. I also wanted to get you to practice some of the communication avenues that I've suggested to you, the 4 different ways to communicate. And so far, no one's house is on fire. What I mean by that is no one's freaking out. Um, and so we're going to continue to use those methods of communication. I haven't gotten a whole lot of Skype messages, but some of you have used it. All right. I also wanted to say a little word about online school. I've taught this before. In some ways, it might seem like it's easier. You have all this like free time, and no one's like behind you, pushing you. You sort of, I mean, you could do whatever you want. You could turn on the TV. We're all kind of on lockdown at home at this point. But I guess the point I'm trying to make is that it's your responsibility to understand your assignments and to push yourself to meet your own deadlines. No one else is going to remind you or be around. So I think online school works for people that are self-motivated, but not so much for lazy people. Um, so again, just emphasizing communication. Talk to me if you have a question. Don't miss the deadline. So don't want anyone to come back to school saying, blaming and your missed assignments on, I don't know, something or other related to what's happening. So I'm just trying to do my part to communicate clearly. Okay, I'm kind of blabbing on here. It does seem like a lot of work that I throw out there at the beginning of the week here on Mondays, but it's an entire week's worth of work that I'm giving you at one time. So you stagger it however you'd like, but I'm only gonna, do this way on a Monday. Then you have the rest of the week to work on it. Okay. Also, just a word or a request, just to be sensitive to your parents. I'm a parent, and your parents are adjusting through this. Probably what they're doing is their job hasn't stopped. They're probably working remotely too, so everyone's under the same roof all day long. So that's a big adjustment that I think we're all making. Okay, what's happening this week? Got some good stuff ahead. We're gonna start with something called Chapter 3 openers. So what is that? So to do this, you need to go to OneNote. I'll open this up. Go to the Kite Runner tab in OneNote on the content library, and you'll see an item there titled Chapter 3 Opener Prompt. And here's a quote from Chapter 3, and then it says, who says this to Amir? In Chapter 3, do you agree with the statement? Respond to these questions in one paragraph. So it's a paragraph response. It's structured 8 to 11 sentences. Explain your stance, so you're arguing whether you agree or disagree. Use at least 2 quotes as evidence. So 8 to 11 sentences, but you got to plug in at least 2 quotes from the story. So, all right, so where do you write your response? You write it in OneNote, but you click on starters. So here is the Kite Runner tab. Click on starters and then click on Spring 2020 journal entries and write your response in your, right here, but put it in your private library. So that way it'll be private. No one else will see it. But that will be due by Sunday night. So you have 7 days to do that. Plenty of time. So put some thought and effort into that. Make it sharp. We'll continue doing the openers, but this week we're just doing Chapter 3. Okay, B, Where I'm From poem. Okay, this is a fun one. Also, in OneNote, go to the Kite Runner tab in the content library and click on maybe the top item there. It says Where I'm From example. And this is kind of a personal one, but all right. So thinking about what's happening in these first few chapters of the Kite Runner, it really is just this guy, Amir, who's now a young adult, thinking about where he's from. He grew up in Kabul, Afghanistan, and we're just reading about his story. The friendships he had, the connection with his father's friend, what his community looked like, what his house looked like, the things he was interested in. We're really getting to know him. So it's kind of, this poem is all about that theme of thinking back on where you're from. So this is an example. I want you to read it word for word. It's actually written by Mrs. Malik, also a sophomore academic English teacher in the department. I'll just read the first stanza. I am from ocean-sprayed breezes, from beach city relaxation. I am from palm trees, tall like welcoming green giants. I am from the blue and white house on the top of Ocean Hill that has wrapped its loving arms around me for 25 years. All right, so you see the repetition of I am from. That's kind of intentional. I see 5 stanzas. All right, so next click on the second item. It looks like this. Do you remember doing Mad Libs when you were a kid? It's kind of like that. You can click on this Word document or print it out and then write on it, or you can just use your stylus and write on it that way. So it's pretty self-explanatory. Here's the first line, I am from, and then right here in parentheses it says an everyday item in your home. So okay, so there's 2 parts to this. Part 1 is just to fill this out, and that's all you got to do this week. So read the sample, fill this out, be honest, be detailed, try to be creative in the language you use, and then next week you'll kind of sharpen it up, put it in a Word document, and that's when you'll submit it. So this week you're not submitting anything, you're just kind of doing the step 1 part, which is writing it out on this sheet. The Where I'm From sheet. Okay, so it's more of a creative activity that I hope you guys like. Okay, C, writing form questions in teams. So if this is my period 6 class in teams, this one that says general questions here for Mr. P. This is anytime you have a question you want to ask me, just feel free. All right, but I've created a new channel here. It says chapters 1 through 3 writing forum. And notice how I have 3 questions or 3 categories here. They relate to chapters 2 and 3. So what I want you to do is write your response to each of these 3. They don't need to be paragraph responses, but you should respond to each of these 3. Your first response I would like by Wednesday night. Wednesday night. Why? Because I want you to read everyone's comment and then reply to at least 2 classmates. And you can take it beyond that. You can kind of get a conversation going. But you'll get credit for that first post, your initial response due Wednesday night to each of these 3. And then Thursday, Friday, Saturday, and Sunday is all about responding to what you see other people seeing. So in these days of being isolated and hunkering down, it's kind of nice to still talk to each other, even if, and have some sort of social connection, looking at what other people are writing. All right, so that's C, the writing form questions. Okay, D, reading and annotating chapters 4 through 6. So it's self-explanatory. You need to read 3 chapters this week, annotate those 3 chapters, and the following week we'll get into those. So there could be a pop quiz anytime. You need to keep up with the reading. Memby minutes, so I'll say this week we start the round of 2 weeks worth of minutes. So this is, try to get like 30 minutes in this week and then 30 minutes in the following week. So be thinking about Memby minutes. We're continuing with that. They're super easy to do when you're at home with your tablet. Don't need to be at school for that. Okay, F, characters and resource, comment on chapters 2 and 3. Let's see, I have this, here it is. I took this picture, I wrote this on the board last year when I was teaching this book. I thought it was just helpful. I shared this with one class, but it's just kind of like key ideas happening in the book, the first couple chapters. So we meet Amir. He's from San Jose, San Francisco area. He's a grown man. In chapter 1, he gets this call from this old friend that he knew when he was a kid. That's Rahim Khan. It's like a business partner of his dad saying, "What are you doing? Come back. I need to see you." It's like a big mystery. And then chapters 2 and 3, we shift back in time. He is like reflecting on events that happened when he was a kid. So the setting beginning in chapter 2 is 1975 in Kabul. Amir is like 12 years old, and he's living in this house with his dad, Baba. He calls him Baba. And key point to remember is Amir is Pashtun. He's a Sunni Muslim. He has money. Rahim Khan is this business partner. We also find out that Amir's mother died while giving birth to him. And then these kind of live-in servants that live in this hut right outside the house is Ali and Hassan. Hassan's about the same age as Amir, and Ali's his father. They are Hazara, kind of the minority group within the country, and they are Shiite Muslims. So remember these groups we've talked about, the kind of clash. Nonetheless, Amir and Hassan are buddies. And sadly, there's like a lot of sadness connected with these 2 characters. One is like physical deformity. Hassan has a cleft lip, a hair lip. So it's like facial deformity. And Ali has polio, this illness which has affected his leg and the way he walks. He also has like something called facial paralysis, where he can't control the muscles in his face, so he can't even smile at all. So, and then Hassan's mother, also another sad story. His mother abandoned Hassan when he was an infant, I think just weeks after he was born, and abandoned both of them. Her name is Sanabar. And then I was in chapter 3. It's all about kind of the relationship between Baba and Amir, kind of a little bit about